Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to make the video as short as possible, but cover as much detail as possible on importing images into Horizon and how you can do that in both regular custom model import worlds and the former previous kind of norm, which was primitives. And so let's go ahead and just dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera. And we are heading into Horizon. You can create a new world. I'm starting with a blank world. I selected custom model import, but the first example will work in primitive worlds using custom UI. You can't go as crazy as you can with custom model import, where you could have a ton more images, but you could do at least one image using this method in primitives. So I've already created the world. It's right here, November 25th image importing. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that. And we will need Blender for our second method, which is custom model import only. So make sure you've got Blender installed. I believe I got that installed. I'm going to open it just to be sure that it's working. Here we go. Yes, perfect. All right. That's looking good. I know it's just a gray screen, but that's more than I had a little bit ago. So I had previously tried recording this, realized I didn't have Blender, and then had to stop and then install. So let that open up in the background. We're back here in Horizon, and these are the images we're going to be bringing in. I've got this waterfall image and a chicken image. So let's go start with a simple example, and we're going to create a new script. I've got a few scripts here that are not ready to be used yet, so we're going to go and turn them off here in a minute, but they're examples that we can use to build our scripts. So we're going to create a new script, and this script is going to be called CUI, which is a prefix I use for all my custom UIs. And then this is for showing an image. So we'll just call this display image asset underscore entity. Okay. So the idea is that you could attach this script to as many custom UIs as you want, and it could display an image on each of them. So click open an external editor. And this is a custom UI script, which I don't think we've had a chance to cover on the channel yet. So this will be the first time. It's a little bit different. So instead of using hz.component, we actually use UI component. Yes, I trust the authors, allow. But I've just realized we need to install the UI API. So let me just leave UI there. Go back into Horizon. And then from the gear icon, we can go to APIs and turn on the Horizon UI API and click apply. All right, so now that that API is turned on, back here in TypeScript, we can type UI component and then click enter. So that replaces the first component. And then here at the bottom, we need to change this to be component. So backspace the T, enter. My Windows laptop has been a little laggy this year. I'm not sure why. It didn't used to be, so apologies for that. Now this is upset at us because we haven't initialized the UI, and that happens before start, so I like to think chronologically, so I'm putting it above start. So we'll type initialize UI, click enter. You'll see that it needs to return a UI node. We can create a UI node using an image by typing return and then image, and then if you click enter, this is going to import it from image, or from the UI API, and we'll do parentheses, curly braces. And this is a standard format that you're going to see a lot more as we dive into UI later on. Now, inside of here, we need to provide an image source. So we're going to type image source. It's just source, and then colon, and then the source you can get by doing image source dot from texture asset, and then parentheses, we need to provide it a texture asset. We can add a texture asset to the properties panel by going into the curly braces, clicking enter. So we're going to type image, and then we'll do curly braces, type, colon, and this is prop types dot asset. There it is. And then comma at the end of that. There we go. And then right here, we'll type props dot image dot as parentheses texture asset. And that is unhappy with us because it might be undefined. That's what this question mark is saying. And this has to be defined. So if you don't define this in the properties panel, it could break a lot. So make sure you fill this out on the properties panel. So we'll use an exclamation point there. And then, oh, UI node needs to be imported. Sometimes this will happen. It should automatically have imported, but if it doesn't, you just have to backspace the E and click enter, and then it adds it up here to the import line. And we're done like that. That's the entire script to set it up. I don't think this will work though perfectly because I believe we need to type style colon curly braces and then tell it that we want it to be 100% width and height. So we type width and then do 100%, which is a string. And I think if we do that, it should automatically scale the rest of it. So take this script. I'm going to zoom it in just for anyone at home on a phone, so you can see that a little bit more clearly there. But take this script, use this in your worlds. If you haven't yet joined the MHCP, you won't have access to this. So you'll need to check the link in the description so that you can follow along. And if you are on a Mac and you don't have access to the desktop editor, you can go to horizon.meta.com, and then in the top right, you will see the profile once you're logged in. Then you click Creator Tools, and then from Creator Tools, you can go to, you'll see your world at the top that you're working on, and then you'll hit Scripts. And then on Scripts, you're gonna see all of the scripts, and this is where you would fill this script out. I recommend still using VS Code, which makes it a little bit harder to use this, but you can download all the files from here. You can turn on APIs from this gear icon. So you've got most of the features that you're gonna need. It's a little bit harder to use. And then we're using this one called CUI Display Image Asset. So there's the script here on the website. And then also on the website, you can upload assets, which we're going to get into a little bit later, but I don't want to forget to mention this. When you're uploading assets here, you can click import. There's 3D model. Text is a JSON text object, so it's for scripting. It's not a texture. So just very clearly, textures can only be uploaded via the desktop editor, which unfortunately is how we're going to be making this work. So you will need desktop editor for this methodology. And if you're on Mac like myself, this is dual booted right now on an Intel chip. But if you are on Mac and you are in the MHCP, feel free to fill out a public bug report and tag me in it, asking for them to add texture to the drop down here so you can upload textures from the website, because obviously we need it pretty badly. Also wanted to mention while we're on this topic that you can actually share these folders. So you can create a folder and then click share and then type in the username of an MHCP user, and add them to the folder so they have access to all of these shared assets. So that's pretty cool too. And with that, I think we're done with the website. So coming back over here, we have finished our script. We're now going to head into our other scripts, because we had a few of these that I wanted to use as an example later. So we're going to click Control A. I'm just going to select everything, and then Control/ is going to comment it all out. And I'm going to do the same thing on all the other ones. Control A, Control/. So we're really just going to use this as an example for writing some custom scripts. And I'll hit Control Save, and Control Save. Okie dokie. So now we're done in VS Code, so we'll minimize that for now. And these are going to start compiling and then be like, hey, we're okay now. We can also see compilations happening here on here. And when it's done, I like to hit clear so I can see any new messages when I hit play world. Now we need to bring out a custom UI, so let's go ahead and pull out a Gizmo. You're going to find custom UI in the Gizmo. There it is. Drop that right there. And yes, it does come out like that sometimes. So I just go into rotation and type 0, 0, 0. There we are. And I like to position at 0, 0, 0 as well, so it's easier to find. And the scale I always find is a little too small, so we'll type 2, 2, 2. There we go. And then with that selected, we can click F on our keyboard to focus it. And I want to drag that up so it's at least eye level. So there we go. And then next up, we want to go to the script dropdown, select the script that we just created. And now we need to reference an image. So we'll go to our assets, and I've got a folder called archive, and then a folder in there, come on, called junk from classes. This counts. I'm just trying to keep my scripts a little better organized. I'm not very good at it, to be honest, or my assets a little better organized. I don't know. There it is. I'll just double click on that. I'm on a trackpad. I need to get a mouse because I can't look around on a trackpad. So I'm kind of stuck, honestly. I might go buy a mouse today. Okay, because I forgot my mouse back at home. Let's see. We want to upload an image. Looks like I have some images in here, but I think these are 3D models. Let's go and add a new texture, and then we're going to choose a file on our device. I put this in my downloads folder, in a folder called November 25th, and there's our chicken image. Now you'll note it has to be a PNG image, so we'll show you how to get the waterfall, which is a JPEG, imported in just a minute. And then that's coming through. So while we're waiting on that, let's go to our waterfall image. If you double click and open this on Windows, you're gonna get it in this item. Oopsie, what did I just click? Exit. Double try that again. So the three dot, oh my goodness gracious. Windows, please stop. Please stop. I don't know what you're doing. I want the three dot icon. Then we can do save as. And then we can change the type from JPEG to PNG, and then click save, and then we can close out of that. And there we have our corrected waterfall image, which we'll upload while we're working on the chicken. So we're gonna choose file, and oh, that was something I was supposed to mention. If you're uploading via the web editor and not uploading via here, now obviously you can't upload textures via the web editor, but you can upload 3D models. When you're uploading 3D models on the website, it can take roughly 3 times on average to upload. So if you're getting a loading icon that doesn't disappear, it's not because you did something wrong, it's just the website doesn't work perfectly. And so I recommend using the desktop editor if you can, because I don't get any issues with it. But the website can be a little finicky, and you might need to upload it 3 or more times to get it to work. So just be aware of that. And I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. Now let's go ahead and pull our chicken image over. Now what's cool about this is this chicken image has transparency in it, and this transparency should just work automatically. So we're gonna hit play, and we're gonna go jump into preview mode, turning around, Did I do something wrong? Click E, no. Click escape. Let's go click on our custom UI again. Press F to focus. See, what did I do wrong? Chicken image is referenced. It is a texture. The script is set up correctly as far as I can tell. I might have missed something small. Console, do you have any errors for me? No. Hit play. Jump into preview mode. It could be loading, like maybe the image is still downloading from the server. Might try leaving and coming back as well. Let's try that. Return to creation home. Okay. So let me check my note list. I have notes of all the things I want to make sure I include. So we talked about text not being texture when you're on the website, Mac users, and all that stuff. We talked about custom model worlds. Yep. So custom model worlds are the only way to bring in images the second way. So the second thing I'm going to show you can only be done. Ooh, this is strong tea. Let me check my battery power. I'm pretty sure we're charging. Got it plugged in. Maybe we're not charging. 100 watts is not enough. This computer genuinely, it's one of those 5 gigahertz Intel Macs. It was the last Intel generation that Mac made. And it does actually consume more power than you can feed it, because the max input is 100 watts, but it'll actually consume more than 100, which is why I'm pretty happy that they've gone away from Intel. I just wish Mac was supported by Horizon Worlds. Not gonna lie. Okay, let's hit play and see if this is working now. Jumping into preview mode, circling around. Oh, you know what? I didn't expect this. Okay, so it is working. I thought that it was going to take the width and automatically calculate the height for us. There's some way to do that. I obviously don't know how to, because I haven't done it yet. But there is some way to change the aspect ratio, and we might be able to search it up real quick. I'm just going to take a quick peek in the Horizon UI API, where I like to hit Control F to search. And if I type aspect, here we go. Aspect ratio. I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit, guys. Minus, so I can read all this. Aspect ratio number. If one of the width or height is set, aspect ratio controls the size of the unset dimension. If flex, basis, grow, shrink is set, aspect ratio controls the size of the node in the cross axis if unset. So these are 3 of the aspect ratios. Let's just try it and see if this does what we want it to do. So we type aspect ratio, and if I hover over this, it doesn't tell us what the number does. I assume 1 means it's 1 to 1. And if it was like 2, it would scale it by 2, I assume. So we'll go ahead and hit Control Save. And hopefully that's the answer. While we're waiting for that to compile, I'm gonna go and look at the other section on aspect ratio. Image style, cover, scale the image uniformly. Oh, resize mode, cover, contain, stretch, center. There's a lot of properties here, guys. So, interesting. Stretch, scale, width, and height independently, which may change the aspect ratio of the source. Contain, cover, scale the image uniformly, maintaining the aspect ratio so at least one of the width or height. This is what I actually wanted to do. Let's try resize mode after we see that this is working. Multiple ways to make something work, obviously. So go ahead and jump into preview mode and clicking E. Hey, that is a chicken if I've ever seen one. Let's go. Somebody's gonna tell me that's a rooster. There's no way that's a rooster. Roosters have more color, right? 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 But there you go. And so this chicken is very two-dimensional. I will quickly show you how to make it not two-dimensional because I think it's worth talking about. What I do is I hit Control D. No, that's the old way of doing it. Control Z. That was my old way of doing it. The new way of doing it is you right-click over here, right-click, and then click Create Parent Object. And then once we've created the parent object, I'm just going to, of course, rename this to chicken. There we go. And then once you have that parent object, because it's a group, you can change it to animated and use billboard Y lock, or lock Y rather. And then if we hit play world, it will always face us. And so you get this kind of fake 3D. Old games used to use this all the time, but it will always face the camera. And so you don't get the 2D look. It does get 2D if you look from top down. It's not terrible. You could change it from lock Y to the other option. So if you hit this and change it from lock Y to freeform, depending on what you're making, freeform could totally work. And so as you'll see, freeform, ah, the chicken of the sky. I don't know. But you know, anyway, you get the idea. So that worked pretty well. And we're now gonna throw in an image that has an aspect ratio that is not just a square like the chicken, which is filling the whole space. And so if we go back to our assets, we just uploaded into, I wish it would have gone back to that one easily, but let's go archive again, go to junk from classes, and then we're gonna have our waterfall. There it is. And now we're gonna drag our waterfall image to replace chicken. And we're gonna go ahead and hit play, jump into preview mode, and what we should see happen, oh, there it is. It's stretched though. That is not actually, it looks surprisingly good, though it is skewed. So I guess this made it 1-to-1. So anyway, I guess didn't do exactly what I wanted. Let's go back into VS Code and use this resize mode and use cover. And I believe we can turn these two off. So Control /. But if you didn't understand what that means, 1-to-1 means it's 100%, it's going to match the width exactly. So if I'd set this to 0.5, it would have been a lot closer, but then I'd have to guess. So it makes a lot more sense to use, what did they call that? That was called resize mode. So we'll go back over here and type in resize mode : and we wanted to try using cover, which should retain the aspect ratio of the original image. So if I hit Control Save, and then we head back into here, and gonna go ahead and hit play as soon as that's done compiling. So there's this blue icon to tell us it's compiling. I can also clear the console and then hit play, preview mode, waterfall appears. Well, that sure didn't do, oh, because we didn't provide the width and the height of the bounding box. So we still need the width property filled out. So we do Control /, and we probably need to fill out the height too. So we'll do both, which I believe is why it didn't work the first time. HEIGHT, Control Save, but that should not change the aspect ratio theoretically. Even though that, yeah, theoretically, I sure hope. Okay, clear, come on, one more time, and clear, and play, and we're gonna just go ahead and hit F to focus. I don't see it, which is strange. Jump into preview mode. Ah, there we are. It is taking the height property, so maybe don't fill out the height. We'll do Control/, and if that doesn't work, you'll just have to make sure to bring in square images or use the actual percentage that it takes up. Okay, it's almost done. Clear and play. Preview mode. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, so unfortunately, to get this to display correctly, I would have had to type in the manual. There might be a better way to do this. If you know the better way to do this, leave a comment in the description. Yeah, sorry, leave a comment. Just leave a comment on the video. Let us know. We could use that hint there. But yeah, I've been only working with square images personally. But yeah, there it is. So now that's correct. And yeah, so okie dokie. That covers method 1, which is using custom UI. And while we're looking at custom UI, I'm going to delete this now that we're done with it. We're going to take a quick peek at a script that does the same thing but has a list of textures. You might need to pause the video and come back later and try to build this on your own time if this is something you really want. But here I call this instructions, and so that we can actually see the code correctly, let's go Control-A, Control/. And so what you're going to see here is we're missing a few scripts that I use, but that's okay. It's like play sound effects, stuff you'll see in some of the other videos. But here we've got lists of all of these assets. So these are all the different images. We have a background image binding, which allows us to update the image so we can dynamically change it. This is the only way to change things in custom UI. We've got indexes, so you know which index it's at. We've got an array of textures, which is like a list. We have our origin position, which is for playing sound effects. We have a function for adding textures to an array. So we receive it and then add it to the array if it's still defined. And then on start, we get the origin position and set that to the origin position. Then we get the background image of index 0. Yep. And then initializing the UI is going to do something very similar. I don't know. So this is doubled up. It might not need this line. But then we add all these textures to the array because initialize UI runs first. These are actually out of order, but that's okay. And then we return a view, which is similar to returning an image, except for a view has children. And inside the children, we have multiple images. This is because I've got a background image. So this first one's the background image. And then this is the foreground image because I'm using transparent images on top of the background. And then we have buttons at the bottom that allow you to click forward and back. There's some styles, which are complicated to set up, as you just saw. But you can kind of get the idea based on what we just did. Then we have creating buttons here. So you create a button pressable. When you press the button on click, it's going to call update index with a Boolean for going up or down. And then we've got some styles here. And then here in the buttons is a UI children, which creates 2 buttons, so back and a next button. So this is the text that's displayed on the button, which you'll see right there. And then update index is going to play the sound effect using action utils play sound effects at the position. And then if go up, it increases the index. If go down, it increases the index by the length -1, which is a special way to go backwards if you are using modulus, which we are. So we say index is mod length, which is basically returning the remainder. So it divides by the length and returns how many items are remaining. And then we set the image to that current index. And that's it. So I know it's pretty complicated, but for those who want to try it out, feel free to give it a go. I'm going to just scroll through the styles file. You might want to pause this to save some of these. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but there's a ton of styles in here. Styling takes the longest. Like I've spent at least a dozen hours just doing styles. It definitely is a lot of work. Okay, so that there was our instructions example. So Control-A, Control/ again, Control-Save, and we're done with that one. And we're done with styles. So the animated logo is designed for, it's basically the same script. It's a little bit simpler, but this is designed for an entity that is a custom model import, which is what we're about to do in Blender. And so here you can see we got a list of textures just like before. We add the textures to array just like before. We have a delay speed because this one's automatic. And in this case, for the world that I copied this from, it's every 30 minutes. And then on loop, we get the new texture, getting a random item from the array of textures. And then if the new texture, we set the mesh entity to that texture. And this is a custom utility file that I have. I've shared it in the MHCP Discord. You're welcome to tag me there if you're having trouble finding it. But array utils is one of my utility files. You'll see it in a lot of our other videos too. Add texture to array, just like before. Anyway, that is this animated logo. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control-A, Control/, and Control-Save. You can see animated logo and the custom UI instructions in PowerWash if you're looking to go and check those out. Okay, so we created this, and next up, we are done with scripting. We're actually completely out of that for now. It's time to go to Blender, where we're going to create a very simple image. And this might be easier or harder than the previous method, depending on what you're looking to do. And so we're going to click Add Mesh Plane. Once we've added the mesh plane, we go down to Material. We create a new material, and we name this material Image, and we're done, more or less. I don't know why that's taking a second. Come on. It froze up on me. I'm going to give that 10 seconds before I force quit it. Okay, so once we name this image over here, we're going to have to come back into here, and let's start with our chicken image. Yes, we're going to do chicken. We're going to ignore the waterfall because it's not a square. You could resize it in Horizon to be like not a square, like that totally works. Oh, Blender crashed, that's crazy. But we're going to go ahead and say chicken image needs to be renamed to image_BR. Now that's what's going to allow us to bring it in. There's another way to upload these, which we'll show in just a second, because image_BR does not preserve the transparency. Okay, let's reopen up Blender. There we go. Take two. All right, and delete hierarchy, add mesh plane, go to the ball, red ball, beach ball like icon drop down, click new for material, and that should continue crashing Blender. I wonder if I need to restart my computer or something. I don't know why that's crashing. Okay, well anyway, that's going to create a material named image that will name image. And if I can't show you that, I will just describe it in the most rich detail as I can. Very peculiar that that's crashing us. Just creating material. I did just install Blender, so it could very well be, oh, and our power is dropping like a rock. So yeah, I might have to rush this now. Delete hierarchy, thinking. Why is that breaking? Add mesh plane. We're not going to do the same thing over and over again because that's, I think, the definition of insanity. We click File, Export, FBX. So once you create the material down here, click New, create the material. You'll then click File, Export as an FBX. You will name this, and let's go to Downloads, November 25th. You don't have to name this anything special, but I like to just call it Image. And then once you have this image FBX, you can use it to upload all of your images, which is pretty sweet. And so we're going over here, and I expect that, oh, there it is. Like, where'd it go? I'm hoping, now that I've done something different, it'll now let me click the new button. Ay. Why did I think that was gonna work? Okay, well anyway, we've exported the image. And so I don't think there's any way to get this to upload without a material being attached to it. So if I go add new 3D model, upload the plane. Come on. I lost the window. There it is. Upload the plane, November 25th. Open that image. And then turning off preserve offsets. We can see image FBX is here. We'll click import. So if it does have some sort of like default material, then this will turn up red and tell us that there's a material missing. But as we can see, it doesn't have a material, so it's actually happy to just let this work. because there is no material. So when I bring it out, it's just going to come out as like a gray or a white plane. Interestingly, with code, we can update the texture of this, but that wasn't really what I was hoping to show you. So, well, that's, Blender. Oh boy. I'm pretty confident this is because I just need to restart my computer and there's just something that hasn't finished installing because I just installed it. Or maybe there's a missing thing, because I have felt like my Windows computer is missing something and I just don't know what. I think I've installed like DirectX and all the basics, but I don't know what I might also be missing. So there's a couple other things to show. In addition to exporting an image, you can export a masked image. And so on our mesh plane, when you create the material, which I kind of want to try this button and see if it does do anything. There's also like, there's this button. Does that do anything? No. Oh man, geez, anything related to material seems to crash it. Well, anyway, when you name the material in Blender, if you name it _masked, M-A-S-K-E-D, you can then name this instead of image_BR to image_BA. And what it does is uses the transparency layer to create a cutout. And so it's not transparency, it's masking. So it's going to literally cut out the chicken and then it'll look very transparent, similar to the way it looked on the custom UI. So it won't have the background like solid. So that's pretty cool. There are other ways to upload. If you join the MHCP, feel free to tag me at Lakes05. I can send you the link. I've posted the link several places in the tutorial section on the MHCP Discord that shows all the different ways you can upload images like this. So feel free to check that out as well. That's on the Learn website. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Let me check my to-do list. I'm really sad that the Blender thing wasn't working. But yeah, we did the image_BR. We couldn't really do a lot of other image types. We talked about the UI API. We talked about the doing the animated images. If you want a video showing how to animate images and create like almost like a GIF, an animated GIF or something like that, feel free to ask in the comments to let me know that you're interested in that. But I did show the scripts, so that's kind of like was the goal. And then other image types. There's transparent. Darn, I really wish I could show you that. I might try stopping and restarting to see if Blender works. So we'll see, but oh, I didn't have output capture on. That's okay. Anyway, thanks so much for joining today. This is probably where we're going to end it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!